There is a document, hidden for 5 centuries, passed between kings, warlords, and the architects of empires. It was banned by the Pope, burned in public squares, and yet copies survived, smuggled through prison walls, whispered in the corridors of power. This document contains 9 principles so dangerous, so psychologically devastating, that the men who mastered them went on to control nations. And the men who ignored them, history doesn't even remember their names. What I'm about to share with you was never meant for ordinary people. It was written for one man, a prince who needed to survive in a world of assassins, traitors, and smiling enemies. But here's what they don't want you to realize. You are living in that same world right now. The weapons have changed, the battlefield hasn't. And if you don't learn these 9 laws in the next 20 minutes, you will spend the rest of your life as a pawn, moved by forces you cannot see, manipulated by people you thought you could trust, destroyed by rules you didn't even know existed. So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like everyone else knows something you don't? Like there's a game being played around you, but nobody gave you the rule book? That feeling is not paranoia. That feeling is clarity trying to break through. By the end of this video, you will see the world differently. You will see the strings, and once you do, you can never unsee them. But I have to warn you, and I mean this, if you're not ready to let go of the comfortable lies you've been told about how the world works, leave now, close this video, go back to sleep. For the rest of you, welcome to Machiavelli's Forbidden Classroom. Before we begin, understand this. I'm not here to make you a bad person. I'm here to make you a dangerous one. There's a difference. A bad person hurts others for pleasure. A dangerous person has the capability to destroy, but chooses not to. That choice, that's where true power lives. Now, let's begin with the first law. And pay close attention, because this one alone has ended more careers, relationships, and reputations than any act of betrayal. In 1513, Niccolò Machiavelli sat in a dark prison cell. He had been tortured, his shoulders had been dislocated, his political career was over. But in that cell, something terrifying was born, a mind that saw through every human pretense. And the first thing he realized, the thing that got him captured in the first place? He had talked too much. Here is what most people never understand. Every word you speak is a transaction. You are either gaining power or losing it. There is no neutral ground. When you explain yourself, you hand over your map to the enemy. When you defend your actions, you admit there's something to defend. When you fill silence with nervous chatter, you reveal the architecture of your anxieties. Think about the most intimidating person you've ever encountered. Was it the loud one? The one making threats? No. It was the one who said nothing. The one who watched. The one whose silence made you so uncomfortable that you started talking, revealing, confessing. That silence is not empty, it is a weapon. Here's what happens psychologically when you remain silent. The other person's brain cannot tolerate the vacuum. Humans are neurologically programmed to fill empty space, so they talk, they over-explain, they expose their strategies, their fears, their weaknesses, all because you gave them nothing to work with. There's a technique used by elite interrogators, CIA, Mossad, the old KGB. They don't torture for information anymore. That's amateur hour. Instead, they sit across from you and say absolutely nothing for hours, and you know what happens? People confess to things they weren't even asked about. The silence becomes unbearable. The mind starts filling the void with its own demons. You can use this same principle in every negotiation, every conflict, every moment someone tries to provoke you. From this moment forward, practice strategic silence. When someone asks a question designed to trap you, pause. Let them sweat in the silence. When you're accused of something, don't rush to defend. Your silence implies power. When someone reveals something important, say nothing. They will keep talking, keep revealing. Become a black hole. Information goes in, nothing comes out. And watch how quickly people start seeking your approval, trying to decode you, giving away their positions just to get a reaction. But here's the terrifying part most people miss about silence. It's not just about what you don't say. It's about what happens inside you when you stop talking. You start actually seeing, actually hearing, actually thinking. And that brings us to the second law, one that will make you deeply uncomfortable. What I'm about to tell you has been called evil by priests, dangerous by politicians, and necessary by every person who has ever held real power. You've been conditioned your entire life to reject this. Your resistance to it is proof of how deeply the programming runs. But Machiavelli understood something that most people die without ever grasping. You do not live in a moral universe. You live in a mechanical one. When a lion kills a gazelle, is it evil? When a hurricane destroys a village, is it cruel? When a virus spreads through a population, is it malicious? No. These are systems operating according to their nature. Now here's the part that will disturb you. Humans are no different. When your coworker takes credit for your work, they are not evil. They are operating according to self-interest. When your partner lies to you, they are not malicious. They are protecting themselves from a consequence they fear more than they value your trust. The moment you stop moralizing and start analyzing, everything changes. Instead of, "How could they do this to me?" you ask, "What incentive structure created this behavior?" Instead of, "This isn't fair," you ask, "What does this reveal about how I should position myself?" Instead of being a victim of other people's nature, you become a student of it. This is what Machiavelli called seeing the world as it is, not as it should be. Here's something historians rarely mention. After Machiavelli was released from prison, he was invited back into the circles of power. The very people who had tortured him now sought his counsel. Why? Because he had demonstrated something rare, the ability to analyze his own downfall without bitterness, without moral outrage, without the weakness of victimhood. He simply asked, "What can I learn from this? How do I never let this happen again?" Strategic amorality doesn't mean you have no ethics. It means you don't let your ethics make you blind or weak. You can believe lying is wrong and understand exactly how liars operate. You can value loyalty and recognize the precise conditions under which people betray. You can be a good person and be impossible to manipulate. The alternative is what most people choose: moral righteousness paired with complete powerlessness. They stand on their principles while the world walks over them. Now you might be thinking, if I become too cold, too analytical, won't people see through me? Won't I become isolated? That's exactly what the third law addresses. And this is where everything gets interesting. Here's a paradox that most people never solve. The more invulnerable you appear, the more enemies you create. Think about it. When someone seems too perfect, too put together, too successful, what's your instinct? You want to see them fail. You want to find the crack. You want to prove they're human. The masters of power understood this, and they used it. The law of strategic vulnerability states, deliberately reveal small, harmless weaknesses to disarm suspicion and create false intimacy. This is not about being fake. This is about managing perception. When you share a minor flaw, "I'm terrible with directions," or "I can never wake up on time," something fascinating happens in the other person's brain. Their threat assessment lowers. They think, he's just like me. He struggles too. And while they're bonding with your manufactured weakness, your real strengths remain hidden. Your real plans stay protected. Your real capabilities are never calculated into their strategy against you. Benjamin Franklin, one of the shrewdest political minds in American history, discovered something counterintuitive. When he asked for favors from his rivals, they began to like him more. This became known as the Ben Franklin effect. The psychological mechanism is this: when someone helps you, their brain rationalizes, "I helped him, therefore I must like him." By appearing to need something small, you actually gain influence over the person helping you. The man who appears to need nothing generates envy and suspicion. The man who appears to need small things generates warmth and lowered defenses. In a high-stakes meeting, admit to a minor, irrelevant weakness before demonstrating your major strength. It makes the strength more believable. When someone sees you as a threat, ask them for advice on something trivial. It repositions you as someone who values their wisdom. Never be so polished that people feel they need to find your flaws. Give them a flaw, a harmless one. Let them feel superior in one small area while you dominate in all the areas that actually matter. But here's the key: the vulnerability must be controlled. You choose what to reveal. You choose when to reveal it. You are the architect of your own perceived weaknesses. Which brings us to something even more powerful. A technique so effective that narcissists use it instinctively, but you can use it consciously. I'm going to teach you how to make anyone trust you within minutes. This works on friends, enemies, negotiators, even people who started the conversation hating you. And the most disturbing part? They will never know you did it. Every person you meet is starring in a movie. Their movie. You, me, everyone else. We're just extras in their story. The biggest mistake you can make is trying to become the main character in their movie, trying to impress them, trying to outshine them. The moment you do that, you become a threat to their ego, and the ego has one job: eliminate threats. Instead, become a mirror. When you mirror someone, their energy, their language, their emotional state, a strange psychological phenomenon occurs. They don't see you, they see themselves. And because most people are in love with themselves, they will love you. If they're excited, match their enthusiasm. If they're cautious, be measured and thoughtful. Use their exact words back to them. Subtly adopt their posture, their rhythm of speech. This is not manipulation. This is communication at the deepest level. You are speaking their language, not the language of words, but the language of identity. There's a reason therapists are trained in mirroring techniques. When done correctly, the other person feels understood on a level they cannot articulate. They feel like they've finally met someone who gets them. And while they're busy falling in love with their own reflection in your eyes, you are doing something else entirely. You are mapping their psyche. You are learning their triggers, their values, their pressure points. You are collecting information while giving away nothing. The mirror has no ego. The mirror doesn't try to be more interesting than the reflection. The mirror simply shows people what they want to see, themselves. Master this, and you will be called charming, empathetic, and trustworthy by people who cannot explain why they feel that way about you. But mirroring alone is not enough, because there's something that sabotages even the most skilled social operators. Something so subtle that most people don't even realize it's destroying them. Let me tell you about the invisible chain that keeps most people enslaved their entire lives. It's not their boss. It's not their circumstances. It's not their lack of money or connections. It's this: they need the outcome. The moment you need something, the job, the relationship, the deal, the respect, you emit a frequency, a scent, and everyone around you can smell it. Desperation. And desperation repels power like nothing else. Think about the last time someone was too eager with you, too available, too invested in getting your approval. What did you feel? Probably a subtle desire to pull away, to create distance, to withhold. Now flip it. Think about someone who seemed completely content with or without your involvement, unbothered, centered. What did you feel? Probably a pull toward them, a desire to earn their interest. This is the law of detached outcomes. The person who is willing to walk away from the negotiation holds all the leverage. The person who can lose the relationship sets the standards. The person who doesn't need the job gets offered the position. This seems counterintuitive, but it's deeply logical. When you don't need something, you can speak truthfully. You can hold boundaries. You can say no. You can take risks. You can be authentic. And authenticity is magnetic because it's so rare. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must never appear desperate, even in desperate times. The appearance of need invites predators. The appearance of abundance invites allies. Here's how to cultivate outcome independence. Before any high-stakes situation, visualize the worst-case scenario. Accept it. Make peace with it. Remind yourself, I want this, but I don't need this. I will survive either way. Never let anyone know how much you need what they can provide. When you destroy the fear of loss, you become untouchable. You become the person others try to please, not the person trying to please others. But even outcome independence has a shadow side, a dangerous territory that most people fall into, and it involves something you probably consider an enemy. What if I told you that your enemy is more valuable than your friend? What if the person trying to destroy you is actually building you? This is one of Machiavelli's most controversial and most misunderstood principles. Most people want peace. They want everyone to like them. They run from conflict like it's a disease. But conflict is not a disease, it's a forge. Without resistance, your mind becomes soft. Your strategies become untested. Your sense of self becomes dependent on never being challenged. The enemy sharpens you. Look at every great figure in history. They all had enemies. Muhammad Ali needed Joe Frazier. Tesla needed Edison. Rome needed Carthage. The friction created the fire. The opposition created the excellence. Machiavelli advised the prince to never wish for pure peace. A leader without challenges becomes complacent. A warrior without battles becomes weak. A mind without opposition becomes dull. But there's another layer to this law that most people miss. Enemies create alliances. Nothing unites people faster than a common threat. If you want to build a team, a movement, a family bond, you don't just preach what you're for, you identify what you're against. Shared enemies create shared identity. Don't complain about your critics, they're keeping you sharp. Don't wish your competitors would disappear, they're forcing you to evolve. When building groups, identify a common threat. Watch how quickly strangers become allies. Your enemy is not your obstacle. Your enemy is your teacher wearing a hostile mask. But knowing how to handle enemies is only half the equation. You also need to understand who you are in different contexts. And this is where most people make a fatal error. You've been told to just be yourself. This is perhaps the most dangerous advice ever given. Why? Because you are not one self, you are many. The person you are with your mother is not the person you are with your boss. The person you're with another is not the person you're with as competitor. This is not hypocrisy. This is intelligence. The man who acts the same way in every situation is not authentic. He is inflexible. And inflexibility is the first step toward destruction. Machiavelli wrote that the prince must be both the lion and the fox. The lion cannot protect himself from traps. The fox cannot protect himself from wolves. So the prince must know when to be fierce and when to be cunning. Think of your personality as a wardrobe. You don't wear a suit to the beach. You don't wear swimwear to a funeral. Why would you wear the same psychological presentation to every situation? In high-stakes negotiations, you wear the mask of calm authority. With loved ones, you wear the mask of warmth and presence. With enemies, you wear the mask of unpredictability. This is not deception. This is calibration. Before entering any situation, ask yourself, which version of me does this moment require? The ability to shift, to adapt, to become what the moment demands. This is the difference between those who shatter and those who flow. Be water. Take the shape of whatever container you find yourself in. When the container breaks, you don't shatter with it. You simply find a new form. And this leads us to something darker, something most people refuse to accept about the humans around them. Here's a truth that will save you from 1,000 betrayals. Everyone, including you, acts in their own self-interest. I know. You want to believe your friends are different. Your family is different. Your partner is different. But the second you believe someone is incapable of betraying you, you have already set the stage for your betrayal. This is not cynicism, it's observation. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that he who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived." Read that again. Those who allow themselves to be deceived. You allow deception when you trust words over actions, when you believe compliments without questioning motives, when you assume someone's loyalty before it's been tested. Develop what I call background vigilance, not paranoia. Paranoia is fear without evidence. Vigilance is attention to patterns. Watch what people do, not what they say. Notice when actions and words don't align. Test loyalty in small ways before depending on it in large ways. When someone offers you an opportunity, ask, what's in it for them? When someone flatters you excessively, ask, what are they trying to get? When someone pledges loyalty, give them small responsibilities first. Watch how they handle them before trusting them with anything significant. It is better to be pleasantly surprised by loyalty than devastated by betrayal. Now, we've covered external threats. But the greatest threat doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. And this final law, this is where everything comes together. There is a part of you that you've been taught to hide, to suppress, to pretend doesn't exist. Your capacity for darkness, you have it, I have it. Every human who has ever lived has it. And here's what nobody tells you. Denying your darkness doesn't make you good. It makes you dangerous in the wrong ways, to yourself. Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, called this the shadow. The part of yourself you refuse to acknowledge, your capacity for aggression, manipulation, selfishness, cruelty. Society tells you to bury it. Be nice, be harmless, be good. But Machiavelli and Jung would agree on this. A harmless man is not a virtuous man. He's just a weak man pretending to be virtuous because he lacks the power to be anything else. True virtue is this, having the capacity to destroy and choosing not to. When you deny your shadow, it doesn't disappear. It goes underground. It controls you in ways you don't see, through passive aggression, self-sabotage, resentment, sudden explosions of anger that came from nowhere. But when you face your shadow, when you look at your own capacity for darkness and say, I see you, I acknowledge you, I control you, then you become whole. Then you become peaceful by choice, not by inability. Then the darkness in others no longer scares you because you've mastered the darkness in yourself. Acknowledge your capacity for selfishness. Now you can recognize it in others. Acknowledge your capacity for manipulation. Now you can see it being used against you. Acknowledge your capacity for destruction. Now you can choose creation from a position of power, not a position of weakness. The integrated man is not the saint. The integrated man is the warrior who has conquered himself before stepping onto the battlefield. You now possess 9 principles that have shaped the minds of emperors, generals, and architects of civilization. But knowledge means nothing without application. From this moment forward, you will see the world differently. You will see the silences that speak. You will see the mirrors people hold up. You will see the lions pretending to be foxes and the foxes pretending to be lions. You are no longer asleep. But understand this, Waking up comes with a cost. You will feel a distance grow between you and those who are still dreaming. They will say you've changed. They will say you're colder, quieter, different. Let them. You are not becoming less human. You are becoming more complete. The question is not whether these laws work. 5 centuries of history have proven they do. The question is, do you have the discipline to apply them? Most people who watch this will nod, feel inspired for a moment, and go back to being moved by forces they don't understand. But you're still here. You're still listening. And that tells me something about you. If you're ready to go deeper, if you want to master the psychology that the powerful have kept hidden for centuries, then you know what to do. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, watch the silence.